doesn't it?
I think it does.
Yeah, okay. Let's try to bring this down a tiny bit. Hi, everybody. There we go. Okay, if you can see us and hear us, just let us know. Leave us a comment so that we know that you can hear us. And we are going to get started tonight. So if you have not been here with us before, then welcome. Thanks for being here. My name is Lindsay. This is my husband, Jess. And we are here periodically on Tuesday nights doing Q&As. So answering questions that have been sent in by you guys. Sometimes they are about training and riding. My specialty is equitation. Sometimes they are about keeping horses, and sometimes they are about contentious issues in the horse industry. Tonight, what we're talking about is our recap of the NRHA Futurity. We just got back on late on Sunday night from that, and there were a lot of questions after some of the stories and things that we had been posting on our social media. So we are going to answer a few questions for you tonight. If you are on with us live, then you can ask questions as we go. If you're watching the replay, then you can still drop your questions and we will try to get back to as many of those as we can after the fact. And if you are looking to find out more information about Jessie and myself and training horses, teaching lessons, online coaching, you can find all of that at our website at hayescofellperformancehorses.com. So tonight we are talking about, as I said, the NRHA Futurity. And for anybody who does not know what the Futurity is, can you give a quick breakdown of what that means?
Futurity for reiners or 3-year-olds. The Futurity we just got back from is the NRHA one, so it's kind of it's the biggest deal for the reining horses all around. 420 entered in the open. I didn't even look in the non-pro. 200.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I'm not sure either.
I know they said 600 and something entered altogether. So. And
that's in the Futurity part of it. They have a regular horse show in another arena also going on at the same time, but it's the biggest show for the reiners. It's the big.
And they have the North American Affiliate Championships also going on. So people that have qualified through their affiliate, usually through their province or their state, get invited to come down to that show to compete for the year-end, what's called the North American Affiliate Final. So there's almost like 3 shows going on at one time. Okay, and what was our role? What were we there for? Just so everybody knows the purpose of our trip.
We had a 3-year-old, a 4-year-old, a 5-year-old for Caitlin. So we had one in the Futurity, 2 in the auxiliary staff. Of course, we always go looking to buy horses.
Yes. So you were showing one in the Futurity classes, one in what was like the novice horse, the regular part of the horse show. Caitlin, our daughter, my stepdaughter, was showing a horse that we actually keep up here that we hauled down for her to show. We looked at stud farms. We went and looked at some stud horses and some babies. We looked at horses in the NRHA sale. We launched the Equitation Accelerator while we were there, and we kind of consider it a work trip. We like to see what all the trends are as far as breeding horses and training methods and tack and equipment. So it's kind of a big deal for us, and we haven't been there since 2019. We've missed the last couple of years, so it was good to get back down again this year.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sure was.
Okay, so the questions that we had that were sent in, and like I said before, if you have questions as we go, you can leave them in the comments and we'll try to get to them. And if you're watching the replay, you can leave the questions and we'll try to get back to those as well. The questions we had were, did you decide what studs to breed to? So I had posted some videos and pictures and things from a couple of the stud farms that we visited and some of the studs that were being honored for their $1 million status. So there were some questions about that and whether we chose what studs we're going to breed to. Do you want to answer that?
Well, me personally, I don't think I decided at the Futurity. The two horses I took down to show, I am quite fond of. One is by Little Joe Cash and one is by Electric Code. So I think for me, I've already decided that that's something I want to breed back to. I guess when we were down there, there were a number of offspring by Inferno that we both liked. There was one that I really liked. A gentleman by the name of Jack Daniels showed a horse by Star Spangled Whiz, and we had tried to breed a mare to him last year, and I really liked that mare that he had. So I think it wasn't so much that I found some new stud that I just went, oh wow, over, but definitely got to see some of the young studs. There was a few young studs represented there that maybe weren't on my radar for in the future, but I think are now. And what about you?
Yeah, I think I feel the same. So one of the purposes of our trips to the stud farm was to see, we have a weanling by No Smoking Required, and we had bred to him. Jesse had seen him in person, but I had not. So I wanted to go and actually have a look at him in person, because I really like the weanling. So that was nice to do that. It wasn't really a matter of making a decision about what to breed to. It was more just having a look at him and kind of confirming what I already liked about the baby. I did notice that I was picking up on a lot of the Infernos in the, as we were watching the go-rounds. There were a lot of Infernos that I liked, and there were a lot of Infernos that I liked in the sale as well, which is different from other years. Not that I disliked them in other years, but they just weren't the ones that really caught my eye. So I thought that was really interesting. It was fun to see Jersey's Baby Driver. I've really enjoyed watching him show, so that was really fun. But I feel the same. I really like the Little Joe Cashes that we have here, and I really like that Electric Code. And I was actually thinking about this earlier. Both of those stud horses we bred to before they crossed the $1 million mark, and now they're both $1 million sires. So actually, I think Little Joe Cash is 2 now, isn't he? He kind of hit his first one and then took off to his second one kind of quickly. So that was kind of neat. Just kind of reconfirming those choices, I guess. But I don't think there's anything that we're really considering that's new this year. Is there?
No.
Yeah.
I don't, there was some awful nice young studs represented, but I don't think anything that's going to maybe change our mind into what we breed. We've seen most of them before. There was one stud that I saw that I thought I would like better when I saw him standing there. That would definitely be one to strike out. And I'm sure he's a nice horse for other people, but I wasn't impressed with his feet and his demeanor. But there was some that definitely kind of get on my radar. I maybe won't breed to him, but it definitely kind of intrigues me a little bit.
The next question was, what had changed? What are you showing me here?
Just swipe left to.
Oh, I don't know if we have anything. I don't see any comments, so hopefully those comments are working.
All right.
Yeah.
Nobody.
Oh, somebody's saying, okay, yeah. If you're cutting out, it's probably you, so you might need to just refresh your page. Here we go. Here's a bunch of them. Okay, so The second question was, what had changed since the last time you were there? So what did you think had changed since we were there in 2019? This is a good question. Whoops.
I think the style of horses, maybe. Definitely the lower end riders were riding nicer horses in other years. The horses, I feel like, were more broke going into the show, so there wasn't as much like night before kind of rushing them and trying to get them really tuned up. One that I kind of thought was like some of the different styles in saddles. A lot more of those two-tone saddles and stuff like that. What about you?
We said a few times while we were there that there were very few big mistakes in the show pen as far as like kickouts or blatant disobedience. There was almost nothing of that in the first go, the semifinals, and the finals. Of course, there was a little bit, but there was very, very little of that. And I think that goes along with what you said, where the horses were just seemed like they were prepared a lot better. I think one thing that really struck me was that every time we go down there, there's a few studs that are the big favorites, and so many of the horses in the Futurity are by a handful of studs. And from the time that since we were there last, those trends have changed, with maybe the exception of Gonna Trash Ya. There's so many by Gonna Trash Ya, but last time we were down there was 5 or 6 that were really popular, and this year there were like almost a different handfuls. There was a bunch of Gonna Trashes, there was a bunch of Infernos, a bunch of Magnum Chick Dreams,
Spook's Got a Whiz,
a ton of Spook's Got a Whiz.
I think if you took out those 4, you took out 90% of the show horses.
Yeah, there were some really strong trends that way. And I think I was shocked, like you said, there were better horses with poorer riders. There were just better horses all around. Like the horsepower was just
there was
insane.
better horses with poorer riders. That doesn't sound, I think, just right. The lower end riders were riding higher end horses. There was
Sorry, maybe that's how you worded
I didn't mean it like they were poorer riders. They weren't worse riders. They were just the lower end riders, the assistant trainers.
The caliber of horses, the quality of horses, the number.
So kudos
of
to the
ones.
breeders that have gotten those numbers and the good ones out there. The breeding part is definitely, and same in the sale. So many.
Yeah, the sale was
the bottom end.
Really impressive.
I've seen the results. What was it? 248 horses brought 5.3, I think, million. And
what was the average? Did it say?
That I didn't look at.
Yeah.
I just seen it real quick, and I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So in one day they sold $5.3 million worth of horse flesh. So that was kind of neat. But even in the sale, like the broodmare power, let's say 10 years ago, there was 5 or 6 out of great mares. And my gosh, there was, 40 of them out of great mares.
Oh,
and
yeah.
then another, and I mean great mares. I don't mean like good mares. I mean great mares. And then even the good mares, everything was out of a decent mare. So that was kind of, the breeding has just gotten so much better.
The third question that we had was, I have to know about Duane Latimer and looking down. So I had actually posted in our stories a quick video about Duane Latimer, because it always happens after a horse show, especially after a major horse show, where a bunch of people will ask me in lessons, you always tell me to look up, how come so-and-so is looking down? And I'm actually going to go live again on, I'm going to go live on Thursday, and I'm going to talk specifically about that because I'm going to give you some equitation tips and just talk about that a little bit more in depth. So I will answer that one, but I'm going to do that one on Thursday. There was another question that Rose had asked. I saw she commented on a post from earlier today. She was asking if we could explain the eligibility a little bit more because she didn't quite understand why a level 2 rider would qualify for the level 4. Do you want to explain that?
Yeah. One thing I would like to say, though, going back to Duane Latimer.
And I don't mean to call him out because he's a phenomenal rider.
Well, and that's what I was going to
Yeah,
say,
I'm
though.
not calling him out for doing anything wrong.
Duane is a Canadian from Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
He has lived down south for many, many years. Got all 3 of his back to the finals.
Yeah.
And they look great. And Duane's not super young. He's not old, but, you know, it was good to see him get all 3 of his back, and they look so good. Just the way he rides, he kind of curls his head down a little bit.
Yeah, his head is almost straight down for most of his pattern.
But, I mean, kudos to him for getting all 3 back, and all 3 back looking so nice. I think he's like $2 and a bit million rider. Yeah. He's won everything there is. Works for Schumacher's. You know, and it's just a neat thing to see him because he's been such a great horse trainer and very good for so many other horse trainers to work under. You know, and step up. He's just been a great deal for the NRHA, so it's not bashing him down. It's not. It's
absolutely not. It's just an explanation.
You can pick on him because he's won everything.
Yeah, no, it's just an explanation of, you know, why level 4 riders can get away with some of the things that that others cannot. We just can't yet.
And what was it you asked me to explain before I got back on that?
The level 2 to the level 4. How can somebody be in the level 2 and qualify for the level 4? How does that work?
So level 1s are your first level, and I forget the dollar figures.
No kidding.
I'll mess it all up anyways. And then you win so much money, you get bumped up to level 2, bumped up to level 3, and then your 4s are everybody, all the big guns and whatever. You can qualify higher, but you know, a level 4 rider can't qualify in the number 1. Once they're out that year, they're out. They can go back and forth. There's a bunch of big guns from years ago that are back in the 1s and 2s and stuff. Everything goes on like 3-year averages and what you win. But so let's say a level 1 rider. I don't think there was no level 1s qualify for the 4, right?
No, there was a level 1 qualify for the 3, and I think that was the what guy. Oh no, there was in the non-pro.
Oh yeah, the non-pro.
There was a level 1 that qualified and was
I forget
co-champion.
the guy's name. Yeah.
Clutter. William
Clutter? Guy from Missouri. And I apologize. I'm sure he doesn't care. I'm sure he's not watching. But I didn't forget who the guy was.
He did a really good job, and he had a super
He won all 4 divisions
nice
of the non-pro. Had a wonderful run.
Gratitude, right? Is that the horse? I think I like the name of it.
And then he tied with the people that Duane. Another kudo to Duane Latimer, the non-pro Gina Schumacher that rides with Duane, won the non-pro, and she qualified multiple of hers in the non-pro. Plus, he got all 3 of his back in the open.
She qualified 3 of hers, yeah.
Did she get all 3 back?
Yeah, she had 3.
So, I mean, they brought 6. You're allowed to show 3 in the class. So they brought 6 to the show and got all 6 back into the finals. So, I mean...
So back to the level 2, level 4 question that Rose asked. When you enter the Futurity, you are automatically entered up.
Every division you are eligible for.
So, like, if I entered and I'm level 1 eligible, I would be automatically entered in the 1, 2, 3, and 4. Fapani is only eligible for the 4, so he's only competing at the 4. For me to qualify in each level, that's based on my score. So if I have a score that's high enough to fit into the number of riders that qualify for the 4, then I automatically have been entered in that, so I can go into that. But Fapani cannot qualify down into the level 1. I hope that makes sense. Daphne says, thanks for keeping us in the loop when you were down there. She loved the pics and videos. It's on her bucket list to go. And thanks for showing the stallions too.
Go next year. It's
Thanks for doing all of your
really
posting and keeping everybody up to date with what we were doing at the show.
Oh, you're welcome. I forget who said something. Oh, Tim and Rob made some comment about the kids, and I went, I don't even know what you're talking about. I felt really bad. I thought
you have to watch our stories so that you can keep up with
I thought you were taking all the
doing.
things for the school.
Well, I did. So I did. The kids were assigned to do like vlogs. So like a video of what they did each day. But the first two were so cute. I put them on.
Oh, okay. I just thought they were for school, and so I was looking.
I did.
What characteristics that you like?
What are the Lisa's saying? What are the characteristics that you like about the prodigy of these studs specifically? Well, there's a whole Facebook Live all in one question.
Trainability, soundness, and I think those are the two main ones. When you see...
I'm a sucker for disposition. I just like a kind, gentle, willing. I don't like the ones that are a little grouchy. I don't like the ones that are hard to deal with. Kind of steady. I don't like any of that.
And when you see 420 go in the first go around of the Open, you know, you're obviously gonna, you know, let's say Spook's got a whiz. There's gonna be some you don't like.
Yeah.
But you have to take it over 20 horses to see if that's something you're gonna breed to. If I see a horse that, let's say 19 of them I don't like, and one of them's bionic and wins the Futurity, that isn't the numbers I want to try to breed for. But if I see, you know, 18 of them that I like, 4 of them I go, wow. And then on the other end, there's 2 of them where I'm sitting there going, I didn't like those ones. As a breeding horse, those are good numbers. You're never going to hit a home run 100% of the time. You don't know what the mares, well, we know what the mares are when we're looking at the not the score sheet, the draw list. But you're looking for good numbers. You're looking for, do those horses, for me, do they handle an open rider? And then does the same breeding also come back into the non-pro? There was a few horses years ago that open riders could ride. And then you never saw any of them in the non-pro. And when I would see those horses at the sales, I would definitely stay away from those, because even the stuff we show in the Open in a year or two is going to be shown, like the 3-year-old I showed at the Futurity this year. You know, in another year or two, Reese will show her. Can we get Stacy to show her?
We can get Stacy to ride her in lessons.
We'll get her to show her. But she will go to be a non-pro horse after. So to me, that's so important. And then the other thing that I always keep an eye on too is, you know, which horses are, you know, like when all of us trainers are sitting there and all the riders are sitting there talking, and somebody's talking about, well, they had to do this vet work or that vet work or this shoeing and that shoeing. I'm not closing my ears to that kind of talk. I want to know, you know, if everybody's having to, you know, work on their stifles or do whatever, you know, I'm going to keep my ears open for those kind of things too, because I don't want to have to deal with, you know, stifles or hawks or, you know, whatever. If it's one thing here and there, you go, okay, it's just the horse. But if everything by that stud needs something, that's not something I'm going to be too thrilled to go by. So the biggest thing is, you know, what I look at is, what do I want to ride? What do I want to produce to ride? And then after that, what do I want to produce that I'm going to be helping non-pros get ready to ride? And happy, healthy, you know, strong, sound mentally and physically. That mental comes back so much. You know, if I'm in the warm-up pen and I see Flicka, you know, being an absolute tool with somebody, you know, I'm not real keen on those ones.
Becky said, I was surprised to see how many were now eligible for level 3. Yeah.
Or how many past Futurity champions were even in the 2. And
Yeah. Elise is saying, can you talk about Sean's winner?
So Sean Flaherty won his 7th Futurity. And I think, getting back to the genetic part of it, the coolest part about this is he won the Futurity. I don't know the years. I forget the years. He won the Futurity on the sire of this mare, the dam of this mare, and the dam sire. The mare is, and actually the sire and the dam were both owned by Archesi's, Italians. Archesi's owned both of the parents. They did not own the dam sire, but they owned the mare that won it. She was phenomenal at the Congress.
Yeah.
It wasn't even a fair fight at the. Well, I shouldn't say that. Jesse Gentile, a friend of mine from Ohio, had a great run at the Congress. He was right behind him.
Yeah.
But there was a lot more in that of Sean's horse. You could tell at the Congress he wasn't even pushing her, and he won the thing hands down.
He came around in his his second large fast circle. He came around and he was hauling butt. There was dirt flying up, and as he came around to the crowd, he went.
And he stuck his tongue out.
While he was running circles, while he was showing. Yeah, it was cool.
And this mare, in all the go, I think did she win the first go round and right up there? She was great in the go rounds.
Yeah, she was unreal. He didn't even push her. And
she still looked great in the finals. He didn't. When I say he didn't get her turned as good as he has in other times, she was a little tired, or she looked it. And when I say he didn't get her turned as good, it was still, holy moly, it was good.
It was one of the last ones to go. And as you're watching the finals, your gauge for what's good just completely changes because the level of difficulty is so high and the quality of horses is so high that what ordinarily would make your jaw drop just makes you go, oh, okay, there's another.
Oh, yeah, somebody comes into the 220 and everybody's talking. They're not even paying attention.
Yeah.
Abby Lengal come in with that, that Inferno that she raised. And when she turned that thing around, I mean, the earth must have shook him. I mean, that thing was bionic. And it went and, it did every maneuver, but I mean, that thing's turnaround were likely, especially, what was it, a right turnaround?
Her second turnaround.
Was it her second turnaround?
Left, I think.
Was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
And then who was right before Sean? There was a really hard group of guys, right? Boom, boom, boom. Was it Andrea or somebody was right there? And
I can't remember. Matt Mills was last.
When Sean...
Casey Deary was close to the end too. His run was really...
His was bionic.
Yeah.
There's no two ways about it. Those 3 runs, I mean, they were... they were all within 2 points. I would have to say those 3 riders were likely some of the best Futurity runs I've seen. I can't think of who would put it again. I mean,
Sean's, Abby's, and Casey's.
Yeah, they were really good. Sean's was a little scary when he walked out of center and that thing looked over to the side and
had feet,
he was looking
a lot of energy being channeled there.
But it was a good finals, good 4 finals.
The other thing I thought was neat about Sean's horse was he made a post on social media about this at the Congress, and I noticed he did the same thing at the Futurity, where he used a saddle that he won with Gonna Trash Ya and with Wimpy's Little Chick. He pulled out that old...
That he showed him.
Yeah.
I forget what horse he won it on. So Sean used to be endorsed by Pards.
Yeah.
And he showed that, and he showed him that saddle for years. He is now endorsed by Meshke. And he made a post saying it was nothing against Meshke, he's a great saddle maker. But, I rode the father, rode the mother in this thing, and it was kind of a sentimental deal. And
so he pulled out the same saddle. It was the one that he won on, was it not?
He did win it, but not on those two horses.
Oh,
He
okay.
showed both those two
So
horses.
he showed both of those
I
two
think it
horses
was maybe
in it.
one he won on Wimpy's Little Step or
Was
somebody.
it?
I forget the whole deal, but
Whatever. It was cool. He pulled out this old saddle and showed that mare in it.
and I think the coolest thing I liked about that mare. No, I mean, she was bionic, but she still looked like a 3-year-old. And
Yeah.
and you know, when she walked out of there, she didn't look like she was used up. I mean, she'd given her all and she'd worked hard, but
Yeah.
I bet you that one's one that's going to come back.
What's she gonna do as she
Like the mother won the Triple
rest
Crown,
of her career? Yeah.
and the mother was, in my opinion, likely the game changer for NRHA for so much, as far as pleasant personality, talent. You know, just was an amazing horse.
Pretty.
And I wonder, this mare, of all of her babies, this is the one I think that makes a lot of people go wow the most. And I'm not saying she didn't look like she was strong, she was good, but there's going to be some growing there. There's going to be some strength there. So I'll be curious to see where that goes. And I'll be curious to see what they pull embryos out of her with.
Becky loved Matt's horse, and Nancy loved watching Abby. I saw Abby won. It was like fan favorite or something. I don't know who voted on it, but I saw she won fan favorite. I thought that was kind of neat.
Well, I think it was neat that she came in there. Obviously, Casey won it last year. Sean, you know, Casey's won it a couple of times. And interestingly enough, the horse that Sean won it on is, I forget how many she has produced, but she has produced multiple Futurity champions, which only a few studs can even say that at all,
Yeah.
let alone a mare. And at least one of Casey's has been out of that mare. So, you know, there's a lot of deep history in that Wimpy's Little Chick mare. And, you know, Casey, of course, he's been there. Everybody's going to cheer for an underdog. I mean, that girl she can ride, and she can definitely train. And that horse was, boy, there was some footwork going on there.
Yeah, it was
When
neat.
she turned that thing around.
And it was neat that she bred it and nominated it and, you know,
That
owned
part
it
too.
and everything. Yeah, it was kind of neat.
There was a little bit of social media BS about her owning it, I think, but that, whatever. I think it's neat when, you know, and I guess you can't really say underdog. I mean, she's been so successful showing the last bunch of years, but she has not won a major yet. So I think a lot of people were, not that they weren't pulling for Sean on that horse, but, you know, if she would have won it, everybody would have been pretty cool with that.
Can you talk about what sires seem to be so hot in the sales?
It wasn't about sires. It's the one that we liked. When I liked it, it went way too high.
Oh my gosh.
There was
What sires seemed hot in the sales? There was a bunch
Inferno,
of really
definitely.
nice
There was a bunch of
Infernos.
Gunners,
Yeah.
which I guess, truthfully, Gunner would be Inferno's granddad. So that was kind of neat.
There were some really cool looking Gunners, I thought.
Yeah. Better than in other years. I think they've maybe figured out which mares to breed them to, and, or I shouldn't say that. It sounds like they didn't do a good job, but, you know, when he was still alive breeding, everybody bred horses to him. As we're now, they were only breeding with Frozen, so everybody's getting a little
That's
more
another
picky.
thing we didn't talk about. There was a Hollywood Dunnet
Oh, and a good one.
son or daughter. Was that a filly or a colt that Jordan Larson
I think
showed
it was a
that
colt,
made the
but-
finals? That was neat.
And there was, well, there was numerous Gunners.
There was a couple of
a
top sale
Hollywood Dunnet,
whizzes in the sale that were
couple
kind of
whizzes.
neat.
Son of Chick. There was a really nice Son of Chick that I like. So there was a neat, and I think one of the neat things with them old, well, they're all dead, those old dead studs, is they were breeding them now to those modern mares, which in most times is the flip, where you have a modern stud, let's say Inferno, and they're breeding that to a daughter of those old studs, like a daughter of Dunnett or Chick or Wiz or whatever. So that was neat to see the flip side working. That one of Jordan's was very fancy, and was it out of a Walla mare or?
Can't remember now.
I forget.
It's been a couple days gone from my brain now. Robin like 007. Yeah, it was a cool horse. What was the one that
Which one was 007?
it was a really neat it was a black horse with a white like bald face, right? I think it was in the level there wasn't in the level 4, was it? I can't remember. Oh shoot, what was the one I was just gonna say? Oh, the one of Fernando Salgado's.
Oh, that was pretty.
That was a cool horse. That was really,
and a
cool.
really neat story too.
Yeah.
The Futurity this year, for anybody that watched it, well, at the Futurity especially, but on the TV, there was a lot of interesting family stories. Longtime show person Kelly Smith died at the Futurity. The night after she made the
primetime finals, and she was
the non-pro,
like a couple $1,000 off of being $1 million rider.
And she has been around forever. Very respected, her and her husband Sam, who's a really neat reining horse trainer. There was a lot of people in the reining horse community who have died recently. One of them being Fernando Salgado's brother, and they're not young. They're not old. They're very young guys. He died of cancer and
young family.
Two kids and a wife.
Yeah.
And the brother showed a Spook's got a whiz out of a spark mare that was gorgeous.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. That thing had a neck on him. And
so solid,
he had
just
a
so solid.
bobble and a rollback. But it was cool. And another thing that was kind of a neat part about the Futurity was Jim Morgan making his 44th.
Oh my gosh, that was cool. So I posted about that. I don't know if you saw it, but when he showed everybody that was watching stood, like he got a standing ovation. Yeah, and he had qualified for the finals for the last 44 years.
And a cool part about it, it's not that he's young either.
No.
I don't know how old he is. And he had a big bout with cancer not that long ago, like months ago. And he still gets it put together. He wasn't there because they gave him Fan Favorite Award. He earned it, and he did
that was neat.
A neat job. But that horse the Salgado family's, holy moly.
Yeah.
That thing, it might not have won the deal, but it was gorgeous.
Yeah.
There was, definitely a lot of neat horses like that. And the neat stories behind it. I guess it just seemed this Futurity was just, every time you turned around, it was like something was going on. Or somebody had...
A bit emotional. Yeah, a bit of an emotional roller coaster. We need to wrap this up. Thank you for being here with us tonight. And if you have a question that you would like for us to answer in a future live, you can send that to us. You can comment below this live, or you can send us an email at hayescofellph@gmail.com. I will be on, as I said, I will be back on Thursday to talk a little bit about some of the equitation things that I noted at the Futurity, try to give you some inspiration and some tips moving forward into the winter about that, and specifically about why some open level riders can get away with looking down, and yet as coaches we're always telling our non-pros to look up. So I would love to get into that with you. I will let you know the timing of that, and we can reconnect on Thursday. Other than that, we will not be on for a Q&A until the new year. So we've got a Christmas tree here. Are we in the spirit or no?
I'm always in the spirit.
Okay.
I'm Mr. Christmas.
Okay. Thanks for being here with us, you guys. And if you are watching the replay, don't hesitate to leave your questions or your comments, and we will get back to you.
Have a good night.
Good night.